Hi, my name is Jamie Harrison. I'm the CEO and founder of Ultimate Caddy System. Now in this video I want to walk you through why we got into this, why we think this is important to the learnings of golf, and basically how to use the system, the structure of the system. So it's a Bluetooth generated device system, so we've got multiple measurements. So we've got one on the left glove, one on the left wrist, right glove, right wrist, waist, spine, and in the full set you've got the inner soles that measure your lower leg movement and your weight transference. Now these all transmit by Bluetooth to your phone, so you are totally mobile. You can go on the golf course, you can go on the driving range, or you can do it at home. So the way this works is there's, I mean, you can just get the system and you can swing away and you can compare outcomes, swings with different outcomes. So you can, if you hit a slice, label it as a slice, hook, fade, fat, thin, whatever you've done is your outcome, or it might be one of your favorite swings or a straight swing. And then you can go into the Compare My Swing module and you can look at in priority order what are the biggest differences between the good swings and the bad swings. Another thing you can do is you can just do a straight analyze my swing, and that will just compare to the pro targets. Now the pro targets, they start with a very good golfer, and over time we want you to customize, you or your coach to customize your targets. Now the best way to customize your targets is through the drills. Now what we do with the drills is we take you away from the psychology of hitting the golf ball towards a result to give you the right feel. And when we pick up strategic metrics or the important metrics from these drills, and you can use them as targets for your swing. So if you get a good feel on this drill, you do it properly, you can then say, right, I want to set the targets from that drill, and then you can do the normal swing and then compare that to the drill targets. Okay, so just walking through the, there's another piece which is in the analysis. There are three ways to analyze. There's the straight stats, which score you against the pro swings and score you against your best swings from the biggest variance to the lowest variance. And then there is what we call avatars. So avatars, in every measured object there'll be a moving avatar. So you'll see what orientation your measured objects, in this case my left glove, is at each stage of the swing. Address, half back, top, half down, impact, half through, and finish. So you can then, you can compare to the pros, and you can do all the same comparisons as I mentioned earlier. The third thing you can do is you can do a video comparison. So you can put two videos side by side, and they will be synchronized by stage of the swing. So if you hit play, you'll see at stage 3, top of the swing, both videos will be at exactly the same point, because we know when you're at stage 3 with your devices. So three ways to analyze. Now, just walking through the drills. The basic drills, we start with the grip, which is a non-measured drill, and then we go to address, which is a measured drill, and then we walk through various drills in what we call the building blocks mechanism. So we firstly get your impact right. So if you don't educate your hands, and you start working on your body movements and your positions, then you're putting the cart before the horse. So we've got to start with getting the right impact. Now, so that starts with just these small swings with some information on what to do with your wrists. And we can measure your wrists and your orientations of your hand and wrist. So one example is, most people are doing this too much and not doing this enough. So we can measure what's the angle of this on your hand versus this to work out which way you're hinging your wrist. This is a backward to forward hinge. This is an upward to downward hinge. So we put it in very simple language that you can understand, so you can see those stats. So that's the first thing. Just a small swing, just to get that impact right. Now the next thing is we work through what we call the right arm drills. Now I'll just get a ball out of my pocket. So we're trying to get you back to nature. By nature I mean we've all thrown the ball underarm when we were kids, and probably as adults as well. So we start with, and what happens with the underarm swing or throw is there's a lot of good principles in the golf that can be translated to the golf swing. Now what happens when we get over the golf ball is a lot of things take over psychologically. So we're trying to get you back to nature. So it's simply back and through. Simply throwing through like that. We take key measurements and we can make them targets. The second way to do that, what we call right arm drill, is to use a tennis racket. Why a tennis racket? Because it's lighter and easier to use than a golf club. And it also gives you an idea of the club face, a clearer idea of the club face. So if I go back a little bit, you can see when the club face is close to path. So what I want to do is I want to maintain that path as long as possible in the direction of the hole. So you can just simply bang, 2, 3. Okay, so that's with the tennis racket. Now the third way to do this drill is just by doing the right arm itself with the golf club. 1, 2, 3. Now this will do the same principles as the tennis racket, so it'll start working you on your wrist angles, but it also starts to introduce balance, because in order to do this properly you need to have a stable base. So it's starting to teach you, or if you don't already know, the importance of the base. So you do that enough, and I suggest you tee it up. You can do it with a golf ball or without a golf ball. When you hit a golf ball, I would suggest teeing it up, take some pressure off, because this is all about getting balance and getting the right plane and wrist angles. Okay, so that's that one. Then we move to, so then you can, at this point I would recommend you do regular swings, and just what you're really working on here is balance and that impact position. So making sure your wrists are coming through. So at this point I'd do a number of swings just to hone in on that right impact position. The next one is what we call the helicopter drill, because another important problem or issue with students or golfers is that they go off plane on their torso. By that I mean your body. So what we do is we do what's called a helicopter drill in the normal address position, bent over as normal, and it's just back, 1, 2, 3, and through. Okay, so there we measure your spine angles. So it's much easier to get a good spine plane without the pressure of hitting the golf ball. Okay, and then we've got special cause drills. So let's just say you've got a problem with your finish, you're out of balance, so you just put your foot back and swing through, and this will force you to make sure that you've got balance on the left side. So just a quick word on some of the stats. So not only do we measure position and orientation of each individual measured object, but we measure them in comparison to each other. So we have the, for example, the rotation of the waist versus the spine. They call this the X factor. So this is the lag in the body between waist and spine. So your waist should go first, spine, and then arms. And we measure things like, at the top, are you moving out or are you moving down with your right arm? So that's another important metric. And then, like I said before, the orientation of your hand is very important, but also the orientation of the hand versus the wrist is also very important. So there's a number of metrics out there. We've pulled out what we see as the important ones, but they're all available. So that's the bit on the stats. Now, we also have what's called the coaches module. So this system is primarily designed to be used with coaches. So coaches can set a program for you. They can set the drills that are important for you. They can set your targets. They can make a diagnosis, and they can upload tuition videos if they choose. Okay. And the other point to make on coaches diagnosis is, or coaches module, is that it can be done remotely. So you can communicate with a coach without seeing them in person. They can actually see your stats, see your videos, see your avatar, and they can actually remotely assign you a program. Now the other thing is that we've got some things in the works that are going to make this even better than it is now. One of the things we're working on is a smart shirt. So instead of having to put the devices on, you'll just simply put on a shirt which has got silver ink, which is stretchable and washable, and it can conduct and will have the sensors in the shirt. It'll even have pressure sensors, so you can see things like, is my right arm connected at my downswing to my chest? So that's an interesting evolution that's coming. The other one is that we're going to be putting the shoes, we're going to be working with the shoe manufacturer to actually embed the inner soles in the manufacturing process of the shoes. So you simply buy the shoes and you'll be able to plug in, plug out the devices so they can be recharged. So then you'll have the shoes. Now another thing that we're working on is GPS tracking. So the benefit of using the phone for this is that we know when you've made impact on the ball. Now we also know where you are in GPS land, latitude and longitude. So when you hit your first shot, we don't know where the first shot went until you hit your second shot. And then each of these shots can be mapped onto a golf course, and we're going to be downloading most of the golf courses in the world. So you can actually plot your round on a golf course. That's interesting, but even more interesting than that is that we can classify them as shots to the right, shots to the left, shots where you missed the green, how many putts you had, and then we can compare that to the global database. So just like they do on the PGA Tour, you see shots gained in putting, shots gained in drives, shots lost, and you can compare to similar groups. So you can use your handicap or the handicap grouping ahead of you. So this helps direct you and your coach towards what you should be working on. So, so there it is, the Ultimate Caddy. It's all about experimentation. It's all about understanding the feel away from the golf ball, and it's designed, and I certainly get this feeling that it's a much more positive experience than getting the negative of you doing this wrong, doing that wrong. It's all about getting the feel yourself, because when you get the feel, golf becomes a lot more fun. So enjoy the hit and enjoy Ultimate Caddy.